In this video, I'm going to be talking about what to do if you've been charged with possession of cocaine in Indiana. If you or a loved one have been charged with this offense, you may be wondering what you should be doing in your case. This video can help answer that question. So about me, my name's Nathan Vining. I'm a criminal defense attorney here in Indiana, and I represent people charged with different felonies and misdemeanors throughout the state of Indiana. By the end of this video, you should know more about how the possession of cocaine statute works, know the different penalties associated with it, as well as know 4 different ways to challenge a cocaine possession charge in Indiana. So in any criminal case, one of the first things you should do is look at the statute that you're being charged under. In Indiana, possession of cocaine is regulated under Indiana Code 35-48-4-6. This statute outlines the law on possession in Indiana. And what it does is it says you cannot possess cocaine in Indiana, and it associates different penalties depending on the circumstances around the possession and the amount of drug possessed in question. So for instance, if you're caught with possession of less than 5 grams, that would be a level 6 felony. And if you're caught with between 5 and 10 grams, that would be a level 5 felony. And it goes up all the way to the level 3 felony, which is the highest charge for possession of cocaine in Indiana. There's also enhancing circumstances that could increase the penalty with an offense. An example of this would be if you possess less than 5 grams, but you possess it around a school or around children that are present. That would enhance the possession, and you could be charged with a level 5 rather than a level 6. So with possession being anything from a level 6 to a level 3, the penalties can vary greatly. So on the low end, you could be facing a level 6, which penalty ranges from 6 months to 2.5 years, and you could be charged all the way up to a level 3, which ranges from 1 year to 16 years with an advisory of 9. So the penalty can be very serious for possession of cocaine in Indiana. So now that you have an overview of the statute, what do you do if you've been charged with possession of cocaine? It really comes down to 3 things. In any cocaine possession case, the basic elements are identity, possession, and intent. With these elements in mind, there are 4 typical issues you see in a possession case. And the first is identity. The state has to prove that you were the person who possessed the drugs. In a lot of cases, unless drugs were found on you, there's no direct evidence as to who possessed the drugs. So you need to look at where the drugs were found to see if it can be tied to an individual person. If it cannot, then you found an area of doubt that could be used in your case. The second thing to look at are possession issues. Here you look at actual possession versus constructive possession. Actual possession is just that. The drugs were found on you. If the drugs were found on you in your pocket or in your shoe or somewhere on your person, then you likely don't have a possession issue. But there's other things you can look at. If the drugs weren't found on you, then you should look for some possession issues. The state would be looking to prove what's known as constructive possession. Here they're looking at the circumstances surrounding the possession to see if they can tie those drugs to you and show that you had control of the drugs. To do this, they look at the location the drugs were found, their proximity to you, and they even look at things around the drugs, where they found in a bag with your driver's license or other papers of yours in it, or they found in a house or a room in the house where maybe there's your items in that room. In those instances, the state will try and show that you had constructive possession of the drugs and that they were under your control. The third thing to look to is knowledge. The state must prove that you knowingly and intentionally possess the drugs. So if they can't show that you knew the drugs were there may be an issue. An example of this kind of a defense would be that you were driving a friend's car and you were pulled over. The officer somehow found drugs in the car. In that case, if the state can't prove that you knew the drugs were in this car that wasn't yours, there may be an issue with the state's case. And the fourth area to look is search and seizure. You want to look to see if your constitutional rights were violated. What this means is that you should be free of unlawful search and seizures. So if you're pulled over and the state didn't have a reason to pull you over, or if your home is searched and the state didn't have a warrant, or there was no exception to the warrant requirement found, then the evidence could be suppressed. What that means is that the drugs that were found won't come into their case and they can't be used against you. That's an example of a suppression issue, and that's an example of your right to be free of unlawful search and seizures being violated. So suppression issues are something you look for in any drug possession case. So if you're charged with possession of cocaine, the penalties vary greatly, and the different results and outcomes can vary greatly. On the low end, you could be looking at community corrections or probation, and on the high end, you could be looking at a jail or prison sentence. It really depends on the facts in the case, the amount in possession, and whether or not there were enhancing circumstances present. So it's important to hire an attorney to look into those 4 areas, and it also gets a lot more complicated than that. This is just an overview. So you really need to get a good defense prepared and see what you can do in your case. And also you should look into what you can do to negotiate. In any substance abuse case, it could be a good idea to start getting into substance abuse treatment and doing something to show the court that you're trying to address the root problem and take care of any substance abuse problems so you don't end up back in their court. So again, my name's Nathan Vining. If you have questions, you can give me a call or text me at the number that follows. You can also watch more of my videos to learn more about the Indiana criminal court process and get your questions answered.